All right, going to be doing a comic review real fast, and this is from my good friend Chris, aka the Mount Vernon Kid. Thank you again, brother. Today we're going to be talking about Bloodstained Teeth. This is an Image comic by Christian Ward with artwork by Patrick Reynolds, Heather Moore, Hassan. I am, out of respect for the artist, I am not going to try to butcher their name. So let me paint you a picture real fast. This is basically another vampire book where vampires secretly control the world. And we've seen this a dozen times in both movies, comics, and literature. More often than not, you see this. But how do you make it interesting? You make it pop punk. So this was kind of Christian Ward's claim to fame. Most of you guys would know him best for like work on Batman City of Madness, which I really liked. Ward also did the Event Horizon prequel comic, which I really want to read. I absolutely want to read that Event Horizon Dark Descent comic, because when it was announced that like Ward was going to do it, I was like, oh, so I have to read it now. I was already like kind of locked in as it was, so I was basically of this mindset of, well, now I have to read it because Ward's Ward's behind it, so now I have to like do this book. Read that book, excuse me. So, but Chris did send me this comic, and I want to talk about it. So Bloodstained Teeth, like I said, is set in a world where vampires secretly control the world. Is there Dracula? No. Bram Stoker is the head vampire. Yeah, Bram Stoker, the creator of Dracula, which I think is kind of a neat idea. Like, because Stoker basically says, like, yeah, the main character here goes, what, I'm about to meet Dracula? Because he sees a painting of Bela Lugosi's Dracula on the wall, and he's like, okay, so am I about to meet Dracula? And he goes, no, Dracula's not real. He's kind of a figure to help distract the people from like who we actually are. He's meant to be a useful distraction. So Dracula's not real. There is a Dracula, though. Stoker named his son Dracula because he's a bit of an egotistical prick in here. Anyway, so our main character, Atticus Sloane, is brought before the Vampire Council, and Stoker basically tells him, you've got a job. What job is that? Well, in this universe, there are two types of vampires. One are called Firstborn, the original vampires, and then there's one sired by them called Sips. Sips aren't really liked by the natural-born vampires. In fact, it's forbidden to make Sips. Well, our main character, Atticus Sloane, has been going around making Sips for decades for money. And the council has found out and have basically told him, you got a month to take out every Sip you have created, you have sired, or we're going to kill you. So that's what this comic is it's very episodic, but there is like an overarching story. One of which actually centers around a nurse who's also a vampire, and she's basically collecting vampire blood to help cure cancer. She's really fun. She's more in the background of this story. Atticus Sloane is he's a very Constantine character, where he's basically like, I don't care about anyone. It's all about me. But you see, like, there is like some undercurrent, especially when one of his Sips, Joey, gets killed, and he has Joey like in the back of his head talking to him. And the story's very like I said, the story's very episodic, where each issue is Atticus going out to find one of his Sips, take him out, and then move on to the next one. And that's really the comic. There is, like I said, an overarching story that I do think in probably book 2 we'll get more of. But yeah, what I really love about this book is that this comic has some amazing artwork. The artwork because Christian Ward does he does writing and artwork on here. Well, most of it. The other art creator is Patrick Reynolds, and I would love to show you this artwork, because the best way I could say it's like kind of like pop punk kind of storytelling. I just got to find a good one real fast without it, because this is a very violent book. This book is not for kids in any way, shape, or form. Like, look at that. It's very, like, again, there's even one character, because I know someone's gonna say it looks like something out of a David Bowie like a David Bowie album. And there is a David Bowie type character that they do talk about has cancer, and as we know, David Bowie tragically passed of cancer. So, yeah. But each one is a different story. Like one vampire who's a boxer who was abused as a child. Another one is a guy who lost his legs and now is a speed demon. And then you have one that's a very trippy story of a drug dealer using blood and mixing it with various chemicals on his victims. He calls himself Dr. Now. And that's a whole like bizarre, like almost like a segment in Batman, in the Batman Arkham games where you're fighting either Mad Hatter or Scarecrow. That's what it really felt like. Yeah, this is a pretty fun book. It only gives you half the story, and I wonder what the other one is like. But the artwork alone by Christian Ward is amazing. It's brilliant. I really love, because you get like trippy images like this, all these vibrant different shadings and colors. It's really it's an incredibly solid comic for what it is. So yeah, I highly recommend it. The book has been out for a while. If you did read Batman City of Madness, I highly recommend this original piece of work. Almost hit myself in the face with the comic. Real professional there, Multi. But yeah, so if you want to check out a cool vampire book that has a kind of pseudo-gothic kind of pop-punk flair, here's your book right here. So, Chris, brother, thank you again for showing me this book. And yeah, if you have read Bloodstained Teeth, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Once again, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.